welcome to the High Performance Cricket Podcast. Today, if you listen to this podcast in full, I can guarantee that you will take away something that can make you a better cricketer right now today. Whether you're a cricketer striving to make it to the top, whether you're a coach who's trying to help other cricketers achieve their dreams, or you're a parent of a cricketer who wants their kid to get the best out of themselves and enjoy their cricket as much as you possibly can, this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Jason Cox, the founder of High Performance Cricket. And at High Performance Cricket, we combine strength and conditioning, mental skills, the cricket technical and tactical skills, and overall lifestyle development from nutrition, recovery, and everything that goes into making cricketers a better player. I have all my links down below in the description. If you have any interest in working with us to become a better cricketer or your child to become a better cricketer. But for now, let's get into the show. Welcome back, guys, to another solo episode. Today, we're going to talk about exercise programming, and you're going to get a look into my brain pretty much on how I go about structuring a training week, and then go more zoomed in. How do I go about programming a training session and how much volume of each thing we're trying to train, each physical quality we're trying to train, while we're doing that much volume of each. And I'll take you through some case studies and some examples on why you might need to consider different things compared to one of your best mates or one of your teammates or someone different, because everyone is very much individualized and everyone has a different physical profile and different experiences and injury history and things like that. So we're going to go into some of those things later on. But a bit of a recap on what's been happening with me this past week. It's been an awesome week from a coaching perspective. I've been getting great feedback from how everyone's been going in their training blocks, which has been awesome. And later on today, which I'm recording on a Thursday, is I'm going to be doing a lot of programming ready for next week. There's a lot of people moving on to a new training block for next week. A lot of people in Australia for the off season, some people transitioning to playing games in the UK as well, and other places around the world too. So very, very exciting time of year where we move into an off season phase in the Southern Hemisphere, New Zealand, where we're really trying to lay the foundation for next season and actually really try and do some good quality S&C work and develop some physical qualities. And this is where you can really set yourself up for a huge season next year. And then also going into season, it's so important as well, because you don't want to get injured during the season. You want to make sure you're performing your best and being the best athlete possible. That's the biggest mistake I see people in season make. They think that their S&C isn't as important in the off season, whereas it's probably just as, if not more important, because this is how you keep yourself on the park and playing. There's nothing worse than breaking down and getting injured. So, going to be absolutely, it's elite. I'm loving it. Getting great feedback. I just sent out asking for a bit of feedback. Really enjoyed this block. Body's feeling really good. Up a couple of kilos. So he's absolutely loving it. Also, someone gone, wow, that first block went fast for the off season. I'm loving it so far, mate. All that sort of stuff. So, getting absolutely great feedback, which I'm absolutely loving at the moment, which is so good. Absolutely love it. So I reckon I'm going to get to work this afternoon and get stuck into some of that. From a personal front, I think I'm starting to come down with something, a little bit of a cold or something like that. Woke up with a sore throat. And when the fan's on you at night and you just feel the throat just absolutely just like razor blades. And when I woke up this morning, like about 5:40, and my housemate was up and he's like, oh, geez, I'm feeling shock. And I'm like, oh, no, mate, me too. I'm feeling horrendous. And he's like, mate, you sound worse than me. I'm like, yeah, but that was only 2 hours ago, because it's 7:40 right now, and you can hear my voice is actually pretty good. So I reckon sometimes it's just like you wake up feeling pretty average, and then I'm actually starting to feel pretty good now. So hopefully I don't cook myself and don't overexert myself and put myself into a hole. That's something I am probably more likely to do than not. So I've actually got a running session in about 45 minutes that I'm going to get done with a mate, ET. Some sprints, a little bit of jog, walk, fartlek sort of stuff. It's a nice, easy, cruisy session. Because I won't be able to get to footy training till later on tonight, because got my Haileybury footy training. It's moved to Thursday night now, so a bit unfortunate, but that's all right. I'm keen for that. Keen for the blood season. It should be good. But let's get stuck into this programming sort of phase and some of the things that I really love to look at. So for me, programming guys, online and in person, the online guys is really important. They communicate really well with me. So I understand how their body's feeling, what their goals are, what exercises they like and don't like, and what feels good for their body, because that's the most important thing. And then it's for me making sure keeping them accountable as well, so that they actually stick to their program and they actually follow the program, because that's where you don't get as consistent results if you don't follow a program consistently. Like if you just do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, do your own thing. Like if you do random training, you're gonna get random results. Whereas we set goals, we plan out a whole off season, and each phase leads into another phase, and we try to progress and set ourselves up. There's plans in place for a reason, so you've got to stick to a process rather than just going and doing random workouts, which just don't quite work as well. So that's why it's really important. If you're programming for yourself and I'm not programming for you, then you need to really make sure you're following a structured plan. Obviously, you can have a little bit of leeway every now and then, a bit of variability, but 80 to 90% of the time, follow that structured plan. From there, what I do, it's all athlete focus. You've got to start with what type of athlete are they? Are they an explosive athlete but not very fit? Are they someone who's fit but not very explosive? Are they someone who's just detrained altogether and not fit, not explosive? Are they just a good prime athlete where they're fit and explosive? A lot of different things there, because how an athlete profile is will significantly impact how much training volume they can handle, what exercises they respond better to, what they need to work on to get them up to a base level in their weaknesses. Do they need to work on their weaknesses? All that sorts of thing there. So, like for example, like a 25-year-old fast bowler who's got like a sub 7.2 KR and is explosive, has a vertical jump over 40 centimeters, prime of their career, then that program's going to look different to, an 18-year-old fast bowler who bowls absolutely rapid, but can only bowl for a couple of spells, for a couple of overs, and they're bowling slowly because they don't have the physical strength or the fitness or the general qualities. So the guy who has the 25-year-old, he can do a lot more sort of specific and individualized work, not individualized, more specific work, or more things at the top end of the pyramid. I think the bottom is like the base foundation, the general fitness. The top is more specific work. He might need to do more of that to try and get that 1% better. You know what I mean? Whereas the guy who's can bowl one rapid spell and falls away, he needs to do a lot more work in the bottom end, a lot more general aerobic fitness, a lot more general strength to build up those qualities, so he can handle different sort of workloads. So that's really important to understand where you're at, so then you can put together a plan to then move forward. So that's why if you don't understand where you're at, then your program starts off on the wrong foot, and then you're cooked from there. And then from there, once you understand where you're at, then it's about reverse engineering the end goal. So it's like, all right, we're not right now. We're at the start of April. By September or by August, when we start pre-season back, where do you want to be? Physical point of view, from habits and routines, from a bowling point of view, strengths, all that sorts of things. What are your goals? That's going to be so dependent. Like for some people, the biggest rock might need to be, their bedtime, what time they go to sleep and time they wake up. That might be the biggest rock to improve their performance. Some might be nutrition and developing habits with that. Some might be getting their 2K time trial down from 11 minutes down to 8. That might be the biggest limiting factor. For some people, it might be getting their vertical jump up or becoming more powerful or faster. Or some people might be their running mechanics. Whatever it is, whatever we identify, just make sure that then we reverse engineer the goal. Obviously, developing those physical qualities has the goal in mind is always to how can we then translate that to bowling better, batting better, fielding better. But it's about identifying that big rock or a couple of big rocks, what we need to focus on, and then bang, let's map out a plan from there. So, for example, I've got some people who are really unfit at the moment, so we need to build up their fitness so they can bowl a good spell, but they can't bowl 4 good spells, and that it affects how much wickets they can take. Let's say they take 2 for at the start, but they're only taking 2 for and 3 for. If they can bowl 3 or 4 good spells, that's a couple of extra 5 for 6 for the year. And I've got some batters who are really, really skinny, really, really weak, who've got a really great technique, but they can't hit the ball off the square. So our goal is to try and get them stronger and more powerful, and to use their body mass better and develop some of those qualities to then turn those ones into twos into threes, or turn those twos into fours, turn some fours into sixes, and all of a sudden, instead of being 10 off 30 rocks, they're 15 or 16 off 30 rocks, and they've just set the tone. They've got to strike better. They're in better rhythm. So a lot of different ways how we can reverse engineer the end goal. That's why it's really important. That's why I always look at all right, what do you actually want to get better at, and then that's from there how we then set up sort of a weekly structure. When I look at building up a week, we've got 7 days to fit in everything that we need to fit in. So we got batting, bowling, fielding, running, cross training, mobility, you name it. We got a lot of things to fit in. That's why it's important to understand where you're at, what you need to improve on, so then we can actually, or I can actually, put together the best plan for you. So that is the best way to go about it. A couple of different things to consider is like your energy levels throughout the week, where you're putting your higher load days versus your lower load days, and that's going to be all dependent to you. What days do you want to be tired? What days do you want to be fresh? Think about that ahead. Think about like your working week, all that sort of things. Like obviously during the season, so people who are going over to the UK, it's pretty easy. You want to be freshest on the weekend where you're playing. So you can cop being a little bit stiff, a little bit sore on a Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Thursday, but the goal is to build that week out so that you sort of go through a period of stress and fatigue and soreness, and then as you freshen up come Saturday. Off-season wise, when cricket isn't the main thing, well, there's no games, then that can change. It might be due to uni or work or more time on a Monday or a Tuesday, or whatever it is. You can sort of structure it that way. Think about high-low training model, high-stress days, low-stress days. And like your high-stress days are going to be like your gym, your sprinting, your power work, all those high-intensity things, where like your recovery stuff, like your low-intensity aerobic work, zone 2 stuff, and all that sort of thing will be your low days. And then thinking about how we're going to actually then align that throughout a week. Now, typically, you don't want to train the same thing over and over and over again. So you don't want to do like running, legs. That might be a little bit fatiguing. So you might want to try and get running and legs on the same day. So then you have the next day off for recovery. So a lot of different things can happen there. For example, what a week can look like is you sprint and lower body legs on a Monday. You do Tuesday upper body. Wednesday might be like a recovery ride, like a 20-minute zone 2 ride. And then Thursday you might want to do sprint and lowers again. Friday you might want to do upper body. And then Saturday you might go for like a longer aerobic run. That's one way. That's one way how you could do it. Someone like me right now, I'm in a phase where I'm playing footy on the weekend. And I've noticed that I'm a typical overtrainer, and I know I shouldn't be doing it. I know you think I should be smarter than this, but for some reason, I overtrain a little bit sometimes, or I'm under recovery, just not sleeping as well. Like for me, my work and my clients are my number one priority. So my sport is not my number one priority. I'm just playing a bit of local footy for a bit of fun, but I still want to feel good and play well. So the last few weeks I've probably overtrained throughout the week and leave myself a little bit fatigued come game day. But this week I've been a lot better, although I'm starting to get a little bit sick, which isn't ideal. But my training loads have been a lot better, and like my game I played last weekend, I was a lot fresher for the weekend. I've had some people, develop shin splints early on, and some bony stress stuff from pushing too much and running too much and doing those sorts of things. So it's really important to not overtrain, and I would start with like undercooking, do less volume than what you think you can handle, and then do that for a week and feel good. And then if you feel like, geez, I can fit more in, then add it something else. Don't start with too much at the start and have to pull back. Always start with a little bit less, and then you can always add more. Because if you do 1 week where you do a little bit less, and then you add more next week, so what a good training week that week you did nothing, but then you only miss out on 1 week and you go bang into the extra volume. Whereas if you do too much volume too early and then you get injured, then the training probably wasn't that effective because you're overtraining, and then you got to then deload a bit because you've probably been injured or you're sore, and then you miss like a month of getting back to baseline again. So always go a little bit unders from the start, I recommend, that's for sure. From there, I've got a golden rule of never train for the sake of it. So when you do like your skills training in this period, never just train for the sake of training. Always have a purpose, always have intent behind it. Because I understand cricketers, I understand that sometimes cricket can be quite a frustrating game, and it is something that consumes us mentally, and you know, I've been there myself, and I've got in the habit of just going to the nets because I'm a dedicated cricketer, and that's what I do. I go to the nets, and that's my identity. I train hard, but I'm more about effective training than just going to the training for the sake of training. Back when I was playing, I would just train for the sake of training, and then what I'll do, I'll get fatigued, but I wouldn't get better. Now, there is no point in putting your body into fatigue unless you're going to get better from it. It is the worst trade in the history of trades of all time. So, when you go to the nets, have an intent, have something that you want to get better at. My big thing is, before you go to the nets, write down in your training journal, write down, what am I going to get better at, and then how am I going to do it? That just sets the tone, gives you a plan, boom. One thing that should be in your program all year round is some form of sprinting and sprint work. Number one, because right now, if you're listening to this, you're probably not doing it or not doing it properly. And then number two, if you are doing it, then keep on doing it, because it is the most best stimulus for you from an athletic development point of view, and also an injury reduction point of view as well. So one of the great stimuluses you can get. So from there, let's go into how I sort of break up a 7-day period. So we'll go into sprinting and speed work first, because that's the most demanding, most taxing thing on the body. Now, the volume of this will depend on your goal. So for somebody at the start of the off-season who's already fast, they might only do one session per week just to keep it there and to keep that resiliency in the soft tissue. So when you sprint, it reduces your risk of hamstring and calf and quad injuries, because you're exposing that body to that stimulus because it's so intense. So you might want to do a maintenance phase of that, just one session per week. Whereas someone, let's say like me, who's fit but slow, I might want to get 2 or 3 speed sessions in per week, because that's the thing that I need to develop. And I get quicker and more powerful and explosive, and I move better. My run-up's going to improve. That's going to be the thing that shifts the needle for me. So how I would program sprinting for me versus how I'd program sprinting for like a really good athlete of a client would be very, very different. So I'll be doing sprinting 3 times per week. And what I'll be focusing on is doing that. Always do it before your weights. So always try and plan your sprinting on the same day of your lower body weights, and do it beforehand if you are going to do that. Or do it the day after an upper body day. That's so you're not fatigued from your leg session the day before. It's also good to actually try and do it if you can get an orchestrated rest day before that. Not always possible. If you can, to go in fresher, then that's also awesome as well. But sprinting is the most intense thing on the body, and you want to be fresh for it. You don't want to have heavy or sore legs. As a part of your sprint session, what you can do as well is do your plyometrics. So you might want to do like some pogo hops and things like that, some bounding, some hopping, some hurdle jumps, things like that before you go into sprints. Great way to warm up your calf, Achilles. Develop your explosiveness and springiness, but also you can also do your plyometric at the start of your gym session as well. So there's 2 sort of places you can put them in. Typically you see more at the start of gym sessions if you're not sprinting, but great thing to do before running as well. So I would program these a couple of times per week as well. Either align them with your gym or align them with your sprinting. I'd recommend if you're only sprinting once per week, then align them with your gym as well, because you probably want to do plyometrics 2 to 3 times per week at least. Once again, volumes at the start of off-season versus in-season are probably going to be a little bit different, and like the intensity of them. So you might do some more low-intensity plyometrics at the start with more volume to build some more capacity. What that might look like is like 3 sets of 30 pogo hops, where you may be going like 60-70%, whereas as you progress and build that capacity, you might do some more intense stuff like some drop jumps 3 sets of 3, or some high intensity hopping where you might do 3 sets of 5 or something like that. So at the start, more volume, lower intensity, and as you develop that, develop that capacity into the Achilles, and you can up the volume from there. Once again, the more slower athletes, they're slow and fit athletes like myself, the workhorses, can also handle a bit more volume. They should be doing a bit more volume to try and build up their power and explosiveness. Where someone who's doesn't have those capacities, like there's someone who's fit but slow, it's someone who's unfit but fast, should be doing something like a little bit less volume. That's because you can overcook those kind of fast twitch athletes too much as well. So just understand where you're at, understand how much volume you can handle with that. From there, as a part of your gym stuff, you're going to need to start at sessions with some general power training, where we're trying to improve your rate of force development, your pure raw explosiveness. Think med ball throws, think all your jumping variations, Olympic lifts, loaded jumps. With this one, the key is to keep the reps nice and low, but the intensity high. Go jumping as high as you can, as far as you can, moving as fast as you can with these ones. For sure. I'll be doing these, 2 to 3 times per week. And then once again, like always doing before, like your big gym lifts, your main big gym lifts. With these, it's like, once again, what you need to work on, what you're focusing on. If you're trying to put on strength and size right now, then you might want to do a little bit of this, maybe 1 or 2 sets at the start to sort of prime that nervous system. Where if you're somebody who's already strong enough, maybe you might want to make it a focus, do 3 or 4 sets of this with long rest in between. It's all based on what you need to work on. That's the key. So these will always be in the program, but how much you do and what you do will be indicated on what your goals are and what you need to improve on. So right now, like my skinnier guys who want to put on some muscle, will still do these at the start of the session, but we might just do 2 sets of 5 sort of jumps. Then we get into more volume is in the more time is spent in the strength block. Whereas the guys that are already strong enough will do more of this stuff, because they've already built that base of strength. They're already strong enough. And once you're strong enough, you don't need to keep on progressing that. From there, that's when we start focusing more on those power, plyometrics, sprinting, etc. From there, I also include a bit of fast bowler and batter specific gym work. And then like for fast bowlers, so we can isolate some certain parts. One's the run up. I like to break it into, so I'll do some sort of like running drill or microdose some running drills inside the session. From there, we can go on to impulse stride stuff. So that's the step before we go from run up to bowling pretty much. We can do some specific stuff there, work on joint angles and specific positions. Or as we transition into like a hip lock position, we can do some work with that. We can also do some work for back foot contact strength and isometrics in there. Some isometrics in front foot contact position and certain positions through that. So those are a couple of things that I've been starting to introduce as well when it comes to like our fast bowlers. Actually breaking down those parts where you might be weak from a technique point of view, and then introducing some isometrics or some work in the gym, some motor control work in the gym, where we're trying to improve those positions in the gym and that's where we get that link from the gym to the field, the gym to the pitch. Batters working on some like rotational work with the med balls, hip shoulder separation, things like that. We're actually getting into sort of specific positions and how we're using our hips to generate power and things like that. So that stuff will be included in there as well. Obviously, the volume of that stuff and what you do will be focused on what you need to improve on. So if you're someone who really struggles to get into a good position of front foot contact and your front knee bends and it just doesn't look very good, then you might want to do a lot of front foot contact isometric work. If you're doing if you're somebody who struggles with their jump, you might want to do like some impulse strides, some hip lock work, like a single leg RDL to a hip lock into a clean position, things like that to help re-emphasize those positions. If you leak energy at back foot contacts and back foot contact isometric holds, a lot of different things that we can do and I've been doing, to be honest, which is awesome. So that's how that stuff sort of can go into it. From there, we'll then go into general strength. This is your typical squat, hinge, upper body push, upper body pull, lunge, rotation, core stuff, accessories, etc. With this, the goal is just to increase your physical output. It's literally to think about you as a car. It's just to improve the size of your engine, build the strength. Off-season wise, thinking about putting on a little bit of muscle, things like that. You might want to go more volume, slower tempo. So you might want to do 3 sets of 8, 4 seconds on the way down, 2-second pause on the bottom. It's a 6-second rep, and then bang, explode up. A lot of volume there, a lot of weights. As you progress through, you might want to then go 3 sets of 6 with a 3-second pause on the bottom, and then explode up. And you might want to then go to something a bit more like heavier, dynamic, 3 sets of 3 or something like that. That's how you could progress, like a squat or a deadlift or something like that throughout a training block. So that's really important. Always have some upper body pushing, pulling, some lower body hip hinging, some squatting, lunging, step ups, etc. Once again, the volume, what you need to work on will look very different. For me, I'm very strong enough, so I'll just be sort of looking to do 2 sets per exercise, particularly in the lower body. Probably do a bit more uppers, because not to help me cricket, but just to look a bit better and just get a bigger chest, bigger shoulders with bigger pipes, because who doesn't want that? And then from there, someone who's really weak, they might be looking at 4 sets of something, because we need to get some size. We need to get that up to a prerequisite level of strength. So looking where you're at, if you're someone skinnier, a bit more volume, if you're someone who's a bit already strong enough, then just touch it, a couple of sets, and then bang, focus more on the stuff that's going to actually shift the needle for you. Accessories wise, things like extra shoulder work, core work, strength around the hips, the calf, really, really important, especially for fast bowlers. Make sure we build some good resilience there, especially through the shoulder and things like that, where we before we get back into throwing. Absolutely crucial. Once again, these can be individualised to you based on your injury history. So if you've done a couple of side strains, then you might want to do a lot more side strain work. And then a bowler might want to do a lot more side work than a batter. So just if you're someone who's done a lot of hammies, you might want to do some extra hammy work. If you're someone who's done your groin, you might want to do a lot of adductor work. So this is where that can be individualised to you there. Typically you want some rotational core work in there as well. And that's how that can be really, really specific there. From there, conditioning. Running volumes might be nice to start off on the lower end and then gradually build that up, or at least gradually build the running intensity up through that. So maybe start with some jogging and then progress to some running, and then some striding, and some more repeat effort stuff as you get closer to the season. Some great way to do some extra volume of fitness if you can't, because our running volume is it's limited, right? Our running volume is limited because of the ground contact. So when you hit the ground, a lot of force to the body. You think shin splints and ankle injuries and Achilles tendon overload, patellar tendon overload. There's only so much really volume we can handle at a certain point of running without compromising the rest of the program. So ways that I love to do to help build that up is things like cross training. So I know the guys at Cricket Victoria smash heaps of bike sessions, and I'm all for that. So adding in 1, 2, 3 bike sessions per week, and you pretty much do as many bike sessions as you want per week, because it's so low impact on the body, and you can accumulate so much volume through the lungs and through that aerobic capacity. So I'm all for that. Swimming, once again, low impact, so good. Also, I think it's also good swimming as well for building up some strength in the shoulder as well. If it's not sore swimming, when you start swimming, that can be a great way for you to build up that capacity in the shoulder. And that's where doing other sports and that's so valuable too, because you build up these resiliencies to these certain muscles without even thinking, without even trying. Then you can do things like HIIT classes and assault bike and rower and things like that as well. So sprinkling some in conditioning. Once again, if you're running an 11-minute 2K or a 10-minute 2K, or you're not very fit, you're going to need to do a bit more conditioning than someone who, let's say, I'll use myself as an example, going to toot my own horn. Someone who's an under 7-minute 2K time trial, that's fit enough for me. I'm obviously going to still probably try and improve it, but I don't need to do as much. Where my if I've got a limited amount of time, I may as well put that towards, running at high speed and sprinting, for example. So that's my thought process when it comes to putting together a program. Like, it's not random, it's problem solving. It's like based on what you need, and then how can we put together a plan for this. Like, you only have a certain amount of hours that you can train, and that's different to somebody else as well. You only have certain amount. Some days in the week might be better for training than you. Different access to facilities. You might have an ass track nearby. You might not. You might have different equipment at the gym. So many, wherever you are, you might have different access to nets and things like that. So I didn't even touch on the skills-based stuff here as well. So then you got to fit your skills in. This is more from the S&C point of view today. And then, so it's very much specific, and I like to make sure that it's like to your body type, to your athletic profile, to where you're at, where your goals are, what you want to get to, what we've identified. Most importantly, what you identify, because I'm massive on it. It's your program that I put together. Like, yes, I might be helping you do it, but it's your program, and it's something so you need to do it. So you need to be bought in. So you need to understand what's going on. You need to have a bit of a say on what you're looking to improve on, how you're going to get better, things like that. Because that's the most important thing. It's no point in me writing this magical, great program, the best program of all time, if you're not going to do it, if you're not doing it. Because I'd rather a good program done perfectly than a perfect program done poorly. So the best program is the best program for you, not just, what I've just slapped in an app or sent out to you. So that's why it's really important to understand your body, what you need, understand your game, and then from there, craft a plan to get you better. Hopefully, you've liked some of that stuff. If you've got any questions and want me to go in more depth to some of that stuff, then please let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you give it a like or review. And if you are interested in joining up with some coaching, wherever you are in the world, online coaching, in-person coaching in Melbourne is actually getting quite full, but a couple of people are finishing up or going overseas. So there is a couple of spots left there. Online coaching as well, as a few spots left available as well, which has been filling up quite nicely over the last few months too. So please, links down below if you're looking to work with me one-on-one. I'd love to help you. Hopefully, you've taken something out of this, if not, that you can implement for your training. And look forward to seeing you guys soon. And that's a wrap for today's show. Thanks for watching, guys. I know you haven't subscribed yet, so please make sure you do right now. Leave a review and let me know any feedback or any questions that you have from this previous episode. If you are interested in becoming the best cricketer that you've ever been and getting coaching from me, I have all my links down below in the description for either my in-person based in Melbourne or my online coaching where you can be anywhere around the world. Thanks, guys. Feel free to share with a friend, and thanks for tuning in. Win the day.